I'm Anne-Marie.
Hi, and I'm Sonia.
We are here to guide you on your transformative journey where you will unlock the secrets to radiant living, conquer stress, and ignite your confidence and purpose.
Each episode is an invitation to redeem your essence, integrating ancient tradition and modern science.
Welcome to our podcast. Welcome to a special episode of the Infinite Essence podcast. Today, Sonia shares her healing journey, how she avoided surgery and saw her 2 polyps disappear in just 3 months. We'll talk about what polyps can mean emotionally and why the body creates them, how hypnosis helped Sonia go back to the root of her beliefs and heal, and how listening to your body's messages can bring real change. So to start with, we're going to see what do polyps mean. So doing some research and also with regards to our work with women, we've been able to understand that polyps in the uterus, the center of femininity and motherhood, often show up after a deep emotional shock. They can be linked to fear, stress, or feeling stuck in a situation. You don't know how to escape. The body speaks in powerful ways, as we've been able to say with Sonia for quite some time to you on this podcast. And if we learn to listen, we can heal. This episode is for anyone who wants to understand the mind-body connection better and how emotional healing can help physical health. So to start with, I want to thank Sonia again for sharing her story. Hi, Sonia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having this opportunity to share my story.
So, Sonia, tell me, how did you feel when you first found out about your polyps?
I think it was by chance. I was just doing the regular examination, and I think pretty much because it's something that you don't know, and pretty much you don't have like symptoms. And I was just doing a regular exam, I think. And when you find out these things, that you find yourself a little bit scared, I think, and maybe then to realize that it's quite a common thing. But at first instance, I believe I got really scared, like when I found out.
Because they talked to you about surgery, isn't it?
Yes, and then the situation is that when you have these, yes, pretty much you have medication, but I think the medication is, unless it's like putting you in hormones, which was not an option for me. So pretty much you have to go to surgery.
And today, looking back, what emotions do you think were linked to them appearing in your body?
At that point, I really didn't connect with any emotion. So it was just a succeed of situation of that I was going through. So I didn't connect straight away with any emotional issue. And maybe now in the future, I can look back and be able to recognize that that was a part of an emotional process I was going through.
Amazing. And I know that you've used hypnosis for this process. So can you tell us a bit about what happened? Because it's quite a story to tell with regards to how they disappear and how you understood everything was linked.
Well, actually, the hypnosis came because some other thing. I was going through this emotional process, And I was going through a breakthrough, and I asked Anne some help. I really didn't know where we were going through, but what I was feeling at that moment was pretty much lack of confidence. That's, if I can remember myself, was in that position, like lack of confidence, didn't know where to go through, and then, and basically I just asked for help. And when we've done our session, I remember I didn't know, I had no idea where we were going, but it made all sense for the point we went through. So we went back to my birth, and it was so emotional release. Remember how I felt when we were doing the session, because it was actually, I was able to travel back to my birth, and the feeling I was having on my body was exactly like how I supposedly felt when I give birth. So it
When you were
resonates,
born.
yeah, so it resonates a lot. So it was like emotional discharge, released. It felt really good, because at some point I felt it was something that I didn't recognize on myself. So it was something like it was hidden. I couldn't see something that my body hidden to protect me, for sure. So it was, when someone tells you something and you said, yeah, that's it. So it was like that, but in a embodied thing.
I find it fascinating, your story, first of all, because we've worked together a few years ago now. But I'm fascinated how more and more women I work with go back to either when they were in their mother's womb, or if birth the birth event was difficult or challenging for the mother or for the baby, the person goes back to that moment. So it's like, even if we think we were really small, we didn't understand anything, we are all senses and we feel absolutely everything. And something gets imprinted in that baby in that moment. And tell me, with regards to what feeling do you feel, or what belief do you think was created in that moment that you were still trying to deal with as an adult, and you didn't really have that notion that it was coming from that moment?
Yeah, it was totally the feeling about the, don't having a place in this world.
Wow.
So like, I I don't belong here. I don't deserve to be here. I really have to make an effort in order to be here. So this sensation of not being enough, yeah, was very, very present. And it was like a wow thing, because I really didn't realize that at that moment. So that sensation I was feeling, and that's the reason why I look for help about self-confidence. Then you understand that all these sensations are pretty much so superficial until we go back to these really deep ones we carry on in our body, and we have no idea about what it is. Because if we think that as a baby, so is so
It's not formed yet, right? It's
yeah,
not ready.
it doesn't have any defense, it's pure, is innocent. So how can you realize these things? We are so, we have no defense. So yes, it was really incredible. It's so present. So I need to make a pause, because every time I go back to that point, it comes really the sensation about how I felt. So yeah, it's nice to feel that.
And I'm curious, Sonia, did you know, like, had you talked at one point before you had the session? Had you talked at what point with your parents or your mother? Did you know that that moment had been a challenge for you and your mother, or it's something that you realized only when you did the session?
Oh no! I never had this conscious thing, ever. Um, and it's good because it's like when you go to the source. I remember that from that point really start to have feel so much in peace, or I mean it start my process of having this peace and my place in the world regarding my parents, special with my mom. Yes, special with my mom.
And tell us what this has to do with your polyps, then, this session.
Well, at first, none, nothing, because I really didn't did this the session because of that. Um, what happened is that after our session, first of all, I realized that most of the women they have these things, okay, and this is to make really clear. And when I said here at the beginning that I got scared, is because we don't speak about this stuff. Because then when you start to say, oh, it's pretty normal, but of course, if we don't share, we don't know how we relate with others and how it happens with the others. But actually, it's pretty common thing. So going back to your question, I've done the exams because I was doing like a follow up each 6 months, and but also I started to realize I had less pain on my periods because I used to have a lot, and actually this is polyps. The as far as I know, are not painful, but for some reason I stopped having pain on my periods, and I did exam, and yes, the polyps basically had gone. And I haven't took any medication. I didn't went through any hormonal therapy. So it was really, I believe it was the emotional process I went through.
So you understanding where it all started somehow.
Yeah, then of course things start to make sense, right? Because if we go back to your mother's source, how you came out in this world, how you felt, if you have access of how you felt when you were born, then it makes all sense to the things you've been through on your physical body, and especially in this case on your womb.
And Sonia, I would like to ask you, because I know that you've tried over the years so many therapies and different practices. How do you feel hypnosis was different for you in this experience?
Okay, so what I see is that it was like a surgery without like a emotional surgery, like you go there like when you have something to fix on your muscle, and you go there and you fix it. So if you go that to other subtle level for emotional body, your even energetic body, your psyche, so it's like a surgery because you go there just in the point, and you, it's not that you fix, but you put the stitches. So because you realize that wound, that particular thing, like very precisely thing at that moment, that it needs to be seen. And then you have the whole process to cure, always with awareness. So it's time, and not just the time, but the behavior, because it's the way you have to realize what needs to be seen, what needs to be cured, and and then of course you have then to make the changes. I mean, acting different, behaving different. So but with that new awareness of uh, how you feel, your wants, so you start to go to the world with a different perspective. But yes, it's like a strict to the point surgery.
And for you, what was the biggest lesson of this specific journey?
Is that you don't need that much to be able to go through on your life. You need, of course, you're not alone, but you are alone. In terms, you have to do your own work, but also you're allowed to ask help, to go to a vulnerable place where you allow yourself to see things that probably sometimes at the beginning can feel scared, but also vulnerable to the world, to the person. You ask help, to even to yourself, right? Allowing yourself to be able to have to feel things that maybe is not going to be so pretty for your ego, but that's the only way to, if you want to go through um, to act different on your life. This is just makes sense if you want to, if you really want to go to other places that you haven't went before. I'm speaking about emotional intelligence, right? You want to do different. So vulnerability, that demands courage, asking help, and then also having the courage to act different, but also having the compassion for yourself and knowing that things, there's a process to go through. So always like, what is the best I can do for myself now? Because sometimes these things are so strong and you think it's just this from one day to the other. And no, your body takes time, nature takes time to grow. So it's a combination of courage, but also compassion for your process.
I think there's two things that you share that are so important that we need to remind them now. The first one is everything that we can look at in the world, we understand that it was first created in the mind, which is when we look at this chair that we have in front of us, first somebody had to think about it before it was actually created. So when the body creates something, and in this case, we're talking about polyps, it means that we've been thinking some way for quite some time for the body to materialize this thing. So we need to change habits, but it all starts with the way we think about ourselves. We talk about ourselves, and the body will take its time to change. So we need to really look at ourselves with compassion, as you were saying. And second, I think it's important that we understand how we talk about ourselves, how we speak about our body, as you were sharing, right? And create these small steps. As you were saying, it can be so simple. And sometimes we want to make things very complicated. And I think we all come from, most of us, we come from a childhood where we think we need to do everything by ourselves. And even when it looks complicated and when we feel we should ask for help. We understand that we have no value if we ask for help, and we try to do everything ourselves. And even if we're burnt out and overwhelmed and everything we can think of, we're still trying to do the thing and struggling to do the thing. And it becomes more and more complicated. So we had to go through exactly this, you and I know that, in our own story. But thankfully, we managed at one point to understand that we also need help from others to go to the next step in our life as well. So I want to thank you, Sonia, for sharing this new story of your life. They are all intertwined, but we know there's so many women struggling with these feminine challenges. So I want to thank you a lot for sharing what was your story and congratulate you because it's amazing. I think we're all giving the fight that will help others, and I find this wonderful that you've decided to open up on your own story and share this with whoever will benefit from it and are listening to us. So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for you, and because you've been there physically with all of you. But also tell everyone it's like this: don't feel ever that you are alone, or you need to be alone, or that you must carry on this any bag alone, because just like me, just like you, everyone, absolutely everyone is going through their own process, whatever they are. And sometimes we act so in a rigid way. Like, first of all, we think that it's just us that are going through like a bad phase or something, or it's just like us. And sometimes just like not victimism, but like, maybe it's just me. And everyone is going through their own issues. And I'm not just speaking about this particular, but all issues. So it's really important we get to a place that it's okay, feeling this way, having this, something that comes up to your life. So it's allowed to ask help. It's allowed to feel like that, like whatever you're feeling. And more, we should welcome everything. And pretty much, I understand now most of our diseases, how we feel. Sometimes the things that we carry on because we didn't welcome this when they should. And when we start to having this is metaphysics. You feel in the right moment. You allow yourself to welcome all these things, and also this is the asking help and welcome these things is one of the best ways to take responsibility of your own body, of yourself. Because if you disguise this, or if you don't welcome, or if you feel shame, or if you don't ask help, whatever, it's just other forms of non-responsibility. And also going through whatever it's valid for you, because it's so natural for us. If we are sick, we go to the doctor. If we suffer an accident, we go to the hospital. And for us, this is just normal because everyone has done that since ever, right? Our grandparents, our parents. So now I think we are going through another phase. That's why it's not normal. Whatever we feel in this way, we go to the doctor who will take care of that situation. So I think at least for me, that's what makes sense. We start to see things in that natural manner.
I think it's a good note to leave you with. Don't feel you're alone, and either welcome or find a way to see what needs to be seen. And always remember that your mind and body are your best friends. Fighting them is always a challenge. And if you need help, open your arms up to help. And I'm pretty sure when we are open, then the help that we need shows up. Thanks a lot, Sonia, again. And see you next time on our podcast.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening.
And share with those you feel it may benefit from what we have to offer.